Welcome to Sound Sketchy, the show where we take characters from concept to creation. I'm Jeffrey, a voice actor and artist. What we do on this channel is take a random prompt and turn it into a character with a visual design, voice, and personality. Let's get started with our prompt, which is our very first suggestion in the comments. This one comes from username Lego My Ego Please. They requested an overly ecstatic street performer. You got it, Lego My Ego Please. Thanks for writing in. If you have any other prompts of your own that you would like to see me bring to life, feel free to put it in the comments. What I picture in my mind is something like Bert from Mary Poppins, when he's got that all instrument thing. So why choose just one street performance when we could choose them all? So I want a nice action line to start me off. Now, an action line is kind of the best way I can describe it is that there's usually a C curve or an S curve, and think of it like the spine of your character. So the more dynamic the shape and the more extreme the S curve or the C curve, then the more action that is going to read across in the pose. So let's start off with just getting a nice pose here. So I would like for this character to be seated in a C pose, and then maybe we extend it to an S curve. And what I would like is to have somebody who is every type of street performer. So when I think street performer, I think, I live in New York City, so we are definitely rife with street performers here. And one of the first things I always think of is a unicyclist. So let's get a unicycle in here. And let's see, let's get a little spoke. And he's overly enthusiastic, so part of that energy is going to read in our character's pose here, and part of it is also going to read in their expression, and then we'll tie that together with the voice. So let's also consider what type of footwear this individual may be wearing. And I think I would like an accordion. Just something about this screams accordion or some sort of instrument. And I would like, so if this is my other spoke, let's have the shoe very exaggerated here, and bonk, bonk. Yes, I like this shape a lot. So we'll do a little foreshortening here. So this leg looks like it's coming out into space just a little bit more at us. And let's start to come up with our voice for this character. So my first thought was make them a mime, and unfortunately I'm realizing that won't quite work because they have a voice. But if they're overly enthusiastic, maybe they're just not very good at the whole miming thing. So let's put an accordion. This is going to be one of those, don't have a good visual reference of what an accordion looks like off the top of my head, unfortunately, but I know there's like the old piratey thing that is just a couple of circles, and then there's what an accordion actually looks like, where there's keys along the side and a strap, and they're much more intricate. There's a lot more to them, so we'll go with my best iteration of that. And when you're drawing something that's all black, you can either choose to make the primary color close to black and not quite, so that you could show subtleties, or you can use negative space or white color to highlight the differences. And I'll put just a little bit of shading in here so it gives it a bit of this shiny texture. So it looks like it's more of a shiny object. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, and we'll have some nice little hot dog nubs for fingers. We'll have the strap be a different color so it stands out a bit more. And then what we'll do is we'll have our other side paired up here. And I'm going to make life easier on myself and have this one be the one that has the keys on it. So I won't have to draw the keys. The clever shortcuts that we find for ourselves. Okay. So this is a little tricky. I should come in and take care of this. So as far as this voice goes, I want a lot of energy, and it would be really fun to, you know what, I think this would translate a little bit more if the lines were a bit curved. That makes them look like they're a little less rigid and have a little more shape to them. The bellows, I guess would this part of the accordion be called the bellows? I don't know why that word popped into my head, but here we go. All right, and then last touch, we'll make sure that this shoots out beyond. There we go. I like that. Great. And then we'll have a little finger or two out here as a flare. Okay, great. More shinies on this side to show where it starts and where it ends. Okay, great. And I'll erase this line. I should have erased it before. That's okay. When you're drawing like this in digital painting, you can definitely make a new layer. I usually draw that when I'm doing something more refined, so I would get this base layer and then I would come back and draw on top of it. So definitely something that you can do, and I would highly encourage it if you have a layer that you want as your draft layer. Motorcycle. But for the purposes of this, I think this is just fine to kind of come in, and it's good to challenge yourself too. I guess in a way, I like to challenge myself to make sure that I can just draw something and not have to, redo it, or whatever I draw, I can repeat on that. What am I saying? I like to make sure that I can draw it all in one go, and I have to be deliberate about my choices. I think that there's building that kind of discipline and making it so that you can't just necessarily go back and do over whatever you've come up with. I think that that's a good exercise from time to time, just to make sure that you're staying on top with your proficiency, and it activates your brain in a different way. And what it does also is it forces you to come up with solutions on the spot, and you can't just say, well, I'm just gonna undo that, or I'm going to do this on a different layer but better than Anyway, I'm starting to ramble, but I think you get the picture. Get it? Get the picture. So, here we go. I've got my spoke and my tire. Let me make this a little cleaner so that it looks a little bit more like an actual bicycle spoke, unicycle spoke, bespoke. There we go. Okay. And of course, depending on your style, it may just be easier to start over once you've got a general sense of what you want in your picture and what you don't want. And then you can just refer to it and draw over. But from here, I'm pretty happy with this. Yes, double spokes because it connects on both sides. Great. I think that this translates pretty well. Now let's continue over into the shoes. Nice big shoes. So I said something about a mime earlier, and a mime is not a good choice for somebody you want to give a voice to. And I don't think I want to go with clown, at least not in a classical sense, like a Ronald McDonald looking kind of guy, but maybe something more like a modernized clown. It is an overly enthusiastic street performer after all. So, some nice big honkin' shoes. Yes. Great. Okay. There we go. And for the voice, I want a lot of energy, and I think I almost want, I don't want a very goofy voice. Okay. I feel like this would be somebody with a more contemporary voice. Think Jacques Zwipper. There's a character, but it's not like somebody trying to sound like they hail from medieval time. This isn't somebody who's gonna try to sound like a clown. They're probably gonna sound more contemporary. They're overly enthusiastic. Maybe this is a accounting guy. He used to work in accounting, and now this is how he spends his spare time, or this is his dream. This is how he breaks away from the boredom of the office. Is he hops on his unicycle and tools around and is trying to make some recognition for himself. So we'll put in some wobble lines here because I like me a good wobble lines. Yep, great. So now he looks very unsteady. And what shall he be wearing? Let's give him a vest. Okay, so a vest here. Yes. Vest. And that will help give him some triangular shapes. So and you know what? Let's give him a bit of a Ren Fair flair. Maybe this is a guy that you would run into at a Ren Fair, who just has all of this stuff. So he's got some nice tights on. He's got some big shoes, but maybe I should change those to boots. I kind of like, I like the juxtaposition of the leggings with the giant boots. So we'll keep those. And then let's start on the head. So he's got a nice angle here. His chin's going to be up. So not the most flattering of angles. His head's going to be thrown back. And if you're ever in doubt, just stretch the proportions. Not sure? Stretch them even further. Here we go. And then we'll give him some nice frilly, what are those, puffer shoulders? I don't know what these would be called. Whatever you'd find on like a Shakespearean sort of like a Renaissance sort of thing. His gloves, I think his gloves are already pretty good. They'll be fingerless gloves. They've got a little coif or like lace coming out of the ends, so that'll be nice. Yeah, okay. And then I did such nice detail on his legs. I want to make sure that his arms match that same level of detail. So I will. And then, yep, let's give him some elbows. I think his elbows would face out this way. Great. Okay, now, oh, he kind of looks good with a little bit of a beefier arm. Now, so he's playing, he's on a unicycle. I feel like I need one more thing to really set this guy apart. We'll add some more triangles in his design to give him more of that triangular appearance. And in fact, why don't I like the shape of those so much. I hate to change it up. Why don't I instead make these puff shoulders? I'm gonna puff them up even more. These super puffy shoulders. What if I made those more triangular? Yeah, there we go. Let's do that. Great. And let's do a nice coif. Yes. Ooh, look at that. That's a lot of fun. That's a great hair shape. Okay. And we need a name. Tiberius the Talented. Let's go with that. Tiberius the Talented. Let's make a nice little nose here. Nice bridge. Okay, and he's gonna look a little manic. So let's change this forced perspective so his eyes look a little crazier. Yes, I like this a lot. I like it a lot. And for Tiberius the Talented, I don't like where his nose wound up. Now, here's the thing about his angle that his head is at. I don't quite know where to put the mouth. So let's puzzle this out a little bit. Let's go with that. Let's not overthink this too much. And I said he needs one more thing. So I think what he could be doing is, I want to say hula hooping, but even I kind of question the validity of that. How do you hula hoop when you're doing this? Um, so if not hula hooping, then what? Tightrope? Is he doing a tightrope? I don't know about that. Maybe this is enough. Maybe this is enough for our good friend Tiberius here. I just feel like I don't know. I wish I could, not wish I could set him on fire, but I feel like he just needs a little extra something. Anyway, until I think of it, let's start working on his voice. Hey, welcome to Timothy the Talented. We're gonna, let's see, I want like a fast talking, overly enthusiastic, so I want an unpolished sound. He's just flying by the seat of his pants, pantaloons, if you will. He's not, I'd say he's untested or unpolished, so he's not very good at what he does just yet. And he's got such a lean, lanky frame. I feel like he needs a voice that complements that. Maybe he always speaks in rhyme. That sounds kind of lame. And he's also on a unicycle and he's wobbling. So these are all good things to keep in mind. I may need to actually get my body into it. Oh, hey, I'm Tiberius the Talented. Yeah. Can I play you a song? I'll play you a tune. It's no trouble at all. I'm really good at this. Whoa. Okay. So that's kind of fun. So we're gonna go for like a more youthful sounding voice. Somebody who's maybe a little in over his head. Now that we've fully fleshed out Tiberius the Talented, we're gonna switch over and get to know him a little better. So, Tiberius, whoa, hi everybody, I'm Tiberius the Talented. Oh, it's so good to be here. Anyway, sorry, excuse me. Wow, what's up? This is my show? I'm gonna be interviewing you. Oh yeah, totally. Well, let's get right into it, folks. Hey, whoa, hold on. It just, sorry. It seems like you're kind of leading the show, and this is kind of my thing. Like, I'm supposed to say that. Oh, well, looks like we've got a bit of a Debbie Downer over here, folks. Well, what do you want? I can play you a song on my accordion, or I can do some tricks. I can go up and down the aisles on my wheel here. Great. How long have you been doing all this for? Oh, well, about a month. A month? And this is how far you've come? That's incredible. Yep, a lot of YouTube videos. you never believe exactly what you can find out on the internet. I'm sure. So you've been only doing this a month, and did you start learning the unicycle first or the accordion? Yes! That doesn't make any sense. What? Yes, I started learning both at the same time. That's why I'm so good at this already. Sure. What's your goal here? Do you picture yourself taking this full time? Is this the only thing that you do? Oh, no, well, I'm not Tiberius the Talented, I'm Ted, the accountant. Doesn't sound nearly as interesting. As soon as I get a reason enough to, I'll definitely make this more of a full-time gig. But right now, it's definitely a sunk business. I am losing money by doing this. How did you discover that this was your calling? Why accordion? Why unicycle? Huh? I don't know. They just seem kind of cool, you know? Well, Tiberius the Talented, it's been wonderful to have you join us. Tiberius the Talented, thank you so much for coming on the program and showcasing your talents to the world. You're welcome. How about a song to play us off before you go? How does that sound? Tiberius the talented, so full of verve and skill. I balance on my unicycle, my accordion gives you a thrill. I can sing and play all day, whether in these briefs or flannel. And if you liked this performance, then subscribe to this channel. Thank you, thank you. Hey, I appreciate that. That's very kind and not at all a shameless plug. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you like the content, feel free to chime in with a suggestion of your own, so sound off in the comments. What would you do with this prompt? Subscribe to the channel for more, and stay tuned for the next episode. Until then, I encourage you to draw your own conclusions. Bye-bye.